Hello, and welcome back to the Arc of E podcast. My name is Noah,
And my name is Gavin.
and we are the Blanchard Brothers, back with you here at the end of the year to do what we always do, talk about our favorite albums, our favorite TV shows, and our favorite movies of the given year. Just so happens to be 2024, and what a year it was, brother.
hmm
And yeah, I think this, as is tradition, we usually kick off with music, because it's usually the one we have the least to say about, the one we're
Yeah.
the illest equipped to talk about, and also the one that we don't play tunes during, for the last several years. And further extension of that, I finally cut the cord with Spotify. Finally
Oh,
cut the
really?
cord. So starting 2025, I'm gonna come over to the light side of the force, if you will, uh, over with you, over on Apple Music. I think that's what I'm
I
gonna do.
I don't know if I could share my subscription with you for that or not, because the thing I have has like TV, it, and something else.
I mean, if I have access to it through the family plan
You might
somehow,
check it
let
out.
me know, because all I'm seeing on my phone is 3 months free. But yeah, I finally canceled my Spotify Premium, so I won't. I probably won't be doing a playlist for this one.
Okay.
I guess I can still make playlists and post them, but I don't know how that works with just like a basic ass subscription, because I don't even know if I can say, you can't save and download songs. You can't just go to an album and listen to it in order. It essentially plays like a randomized like version of the album with other stuff mixed in.
Right. Now,
Anyways,
are you gonna do if you do this free trial thing, are you doing it as like under your Apple ID as Noah, or are you able to name your own thing and do like,
I assume since it's on my phone, it would be
oh
attached
yeah.
to my profile.
Oh.
But you connected me on this is all or this is not good podcast material.
Yeah.
Uh you connected me behind the scenes to the Apple TV, and that's through my name. So, I don't know. We'll
Check
figure
that
it
out.
out, but that would
Yeah.
be great if I don't have to actually start paying for it.
Yeah.
That would be fantastic,
But if you
actually.
are, it's not a bad deal a month. And I don't, does Spotify do the
The
lyric thing?
yes, they do have lyrics. Yes.
Okay. It's just
After
it's
after several years of not having it. But yeah,
okay.
it's getting more expensive, and I'm kind of like, what am I paying for when
hmm
I personally as an artist have been basically demonetized because of the new, like, it has to have 1,000 streams in a given 365-day period for them to
hmm
pay you out once period, like, at all, essentially.
hmm
And so like you could be at 99 on day 364, and you don't hit it, you get none of that. Nothing. Zero.
Hmm.
Zilch. Nada. Not a fraction of it like you used to. You don't
Hmm.
just get what you actually earned. Now, if you don't hit this like threshold, yeah. So, anyways, for a
Bandcamp
number
it
of
is,
reasons.
baby.
But yeah, you might be listening to this on Spotify, which is where I'm still listening to my podcast because they ate all the smaller podcast apps, and that's where I'm at. So, anyways, but I'm gonna migrate back over to Apple Music, which has way better sound quality, anyways. And I don't know, never really experienced the interface, so I look forward to that. Anyways, this is all really boring, but I think we're gonna talk about our favorite albums of the year. That's the plan, right, brother?
That yeah,
Is that
that's
what
what I
we're
was
doing?
thinking.
Okay, you want to kick it off for us?
Yeah, sure.
Top 10 favorite albums 2024. Take it away, Gavin Blanchard.
All right, Noah, my number 10 favorite
And
album.
I will insist that I get a Casey Kasem at some point in the episode. It doesn't have to be right now, but I think we all need it. I think everybody's spirits here at the end of the year could use a little
That's
pep.
right. The check it out. The boys in gray slugged it out with a poltergeist and then stayed on to dance the night away with all these ladies.
It's just,
I was going to be like, "Have you seen Elvis and how is he?" But he doesn't ask. He doesn't ask.
and this is how we'll be doing the rest of the episode.
Yeah.
Thanks for sticking around. Okay, seriously, number 10, coming in at the 10 spot, starting off strong. Take it away, Gavin.
My number 10 is Lost Themes Volume 4, colon Noir. Lost Beams, Volume 4, Noir by Mr. John Carpenter.
De definitely should have been on my extended list. Got to be honest, didn't spend enough time with this one. I got excited when the singles were dropping.
Hmm.
I don't even think I gave it a proper start to finish.
Hmm.
Lay some tracks on me. Obviously, we're the Blanchard Brothers, baby. If you listen to anything on this network, you probably know we love the man. He's kind of what started it all around here.
Hmm.
Shout out to Carpenter Revisited, which you can find somewhere. And yeah, this is number four of Lost Themes.
Yeah. This
So
is the
cool.
first one to have like a well. Make sure none of the others had them, but like I love that it's like it's like just one and two were lost themes. The third one was kind of subtitled "Alive After Death," which was about 3 years ago. And then this one um, is just noir, and obviously he had done stuff with the Halloween movies that have been coming out over the last couple of years. He's kind of featured on Gunship and some other things, but yeah, this was a nice surprise. I didn't know this was coming. I think that's why I like doing music the most, is because like I don't have any frame of reference when stuff's coming. It just kind of happens, and that will play into some other stuff later on that gets like higher in the list, just because the
Very
sheer excitement factor of it kind of lends to my experience with it overall. So
Very
uh,
much so, because there's no like grand real ecosystem for it anymore.
but
It's like you
that's what I
have
love
to
about music.
be, yeah, you have to be tapped into
No,
your
like Apple
given.
Music. It tells you if you pull up your artist, like, oh, by the way, coming this point, you've
Oh
got a
no,
new
no, no.
album, and I love that.
And I was gonna say, and Spotify has gotten better about that as well, where bands can set like a countdown, etc. But I'm saying in general,
Oh yeah, yeah.
bands that are outside of a major label and smaller bands, like you kind and even like there's major artists that do the surprise drop. That's kind of like, the cliched thing to do almost at this point.
Hmm.
But yeah, no, you really do have to be tapped into a given ecosystem, whether it's through YouTube or other social media, you follow them on Instagram, etc., to know when like, oh, this album is dropping on this particular date. Because I'm the same way. I kind of got in the loop of like, oh, I'll go check Spotify on Friday, New Music Friday, see the stuff that's recommended. And we've been over this before because of like the podcast and some like previous episodes getting pulled for music licensing or like little clips we played, etc. I had to like restart a whole new Spotify account. So it was like relearning my algorithm for a whole year and a half in the
Hmm.
midst of me also getting sick of it. So it was a thing where I was like, I was missing out on records that it's like, I love these bands. You should know I love these bands, even though I'm still rebuilding this. But like based on the stuff I am listening to,
Hmm.
it should, in my mind, should have like been able to like branch out and be like, oh, of course you would want to know this is coming out. But I was just like over and over again, I kept missing stuff. And it would be like 3, 4 weeks later, sometimes months later. And then, of course, as always, I'm sure you are going to tell me about at least 2 or 3 albums that I did not even know existed this year, because that is the
Um,
current state of music. But that's what I'm saying. TV, movies, I have podcasts that I listen to. You have the structure of trailers. You have sizzle reels coming from different networks. Like, you know what's coming most of the
right.
time. Like,
Hmm.
it's pretty easy to get to follow that shit. Music is a whole other ball game. So, yeah, I kind of forgot that was this year. I remembered the Noir video dropping.
Hmm.
Uh, but yeah, yeah, completely, completely missed that one. Got
Yeah.
to go back and tag up. All right. Any specific tracks you would like to shout out? Even we're not, again, I'm not building the playlist, but we can tag a few for people
Put them in the show notes.
to
Just put them in
look
the
up.
show notes. Last Rites and He Walks by Night are probably two that I would recommend.
All right, sounds good.
Hmm.
Okay, my 10 spot is a little bit of a cheat, but not really. I'm gonna basically throw both of the releases from The Smile from this year. Uh, we had Wall of Eyes, which dropped in January, super early in the year.
Hmm.
And then they kind of out of nowhere also dropped Cutouts at the beginning of October. Uh, Wall of Eyes, I definitely spent more time with as an album. Cutouts, I spent more time with visually because they released a bunch of like early teasers, and I think like five, maybe six singles, most of which featured visuals provided by Weirdcore, which is the guy who does most of Aphex Twin's visuals these days for the last several years.
Hmm.
Just like super trippy computer, like, kind of throwbacky 90s, like early computers aesthetic, but like very modern at the same time. Really interesting shit. You should go check some of those out. Uh, got to see them live last year, and I I saw some of these songs like in their infant form because they only had one record at that point, so they were definitely working on material that is on both of these records. And yeah, it seems like there's no signs of stopping. I enjoy it's just kind of a lot of fusion, but the real I guess the real draw, if you're not like a Radiohead fan, is this like more freeform jazz style that I believe it's Thomas Skinner is the drummer that he's bringing to it. He's kind of the outsider that they're bringing into the three piece. Uh, and yeah, check it out. I don't know. It might be your vibe.
Maybe.
They're not distinctly to me, they weren't distinctly like different from one another. It wasn't like, okay, these cuts off of the first one are all this style. Each album is kind of very eclectic. That's kind of their vibe at the moment. But freeform jazz is the closest thing I could describe it as. Uh,
Hmm.
yeah. Okay. Uh, back to you for your number 9.
Oh, I'm probably gonna butcher this, but my number 9 spot is an album called forgive me. It's I'm gonna say it's called Bele Polosa, and the band is called Molchat Doma. It's a Belarusian band, but like sorry, a band from Belarus. But I don't know where I heard them somewhere, and I was like, oh, this sounds like the closest thing to like somebody trying to be Ian Curtis that I've ever heard. And I realized that that was from what I heard was actually like like 2 albums ago, something that came out in 2018. So I was listening to that a lot this year. And then all of a sudden in September, boom, here's a new album from them. And I was like, oh, and it's just more of the same. I can't really describe it. It's not in English. Whatever it is, it's kind of, to me, it's just kind of universal. You can kind of tell by the tones and like the affects of the lead singer's voice, kind of what the vibe is. I haven't looked up translations of anything. I don't feel like I need to. It's just atmospherically, kind of just, I don't know. It's in this weird, like, New Order, Joy Division, up tempo,
Very
but
driving bass
no, no,
lines.
no, no, I'm not. Just like, but like also like you could look at it like this is just cheesy. Like, okay, this is what Eastern European. Or I don't. I'm gonna be honest with you. I have a private school education, a bachelor's and a master's. I don't know where Belarus is. Couldn't tell you. I just know it's one of those countries in the maybe the Eastern Bloc. Maybe they have maybe like hostile stuff happens over there. Maybe it's like a I don't know. I don't know where it is. Maybe it's one of those countries that had a problem in the late 90s. I have no idea. Anyway, but
You
the
guys could
music,
see
I
the
love it.
Zoom. You could see me just sitting over here, cool as a cucumber, just like I'm not wading into this because I got nothing for you. I got
I don't
nothing
know.
for you.
But the music
Uh,
sounds great.
can you attempt the band's name one more time for me?
Molchat Dome, Molchatdoma. Molchat Doma. I don't know.
Oh, I have yes,
Yeah.
I have watched. Maybe it was a KEXP. I don't know. I have watched a live performance, like a in
Okay.
studio performance from them.
Okay.
I can't remember what it was for, but
Hmm.
yeah, I never checked out the album, so thank you for reminding me. Okay.
Hmm.
But no, I know and again, I'm not even gonna attempt to say that one because I haven't heard it said out loud. So
It just in the little tag on it for Apple just says the Belarusian trio continue their cold wave EBM revivalism. Don't know
cold
what that
wave,
means.
dude, I gotta start making some cold wave tracks.
I don't even know
Freaking
what that means. I'm too old.
so to me, you got your synth wave, you got your dark wave. Dark
What's
wave,
the
you may just a little bit heavier, maybe a little heavier on the bass, a little more like
more
most of
Bauhaus? More
Most of
goth.
yes, most of Stranger, look again for the broad audience, most of the Stranger Things tones would
Hmm.
be considered dark wave adjacent.
Hmm.
You know, they're more in that more cinematic than synthwave.
What keys are we
That makes
talking? Like
sense.
lower keys, like D and E or G keys? What are we doing here? I don't know music.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sure
Would
I don't even know. The other end of the keyboard where it's just a little bit longer to play. I get it. It's
yeah.
not as high pitch, it's a little bit lower pitch. I get it. Okay. And so what's cold wave? What's that?
That's what I first time I'm hearing the term, I'm imagining that's just like fucking ice cold. That's like the too cool for school goth side and like we're saying, just like head down fucking bass lines, like
Because it does a lot of
the
this.
coldness of just like, dude, I'm walking in like a dystopic city right now. And it could be like it could just be the 80s, but it also could be like 2065 or something, you know. I don't
Okay,
know.
yeah, all right, that makes sense. Because it does a lot of the stuff does have like I said, like a Joy Division, a late 70s, early 80s, like backbeat of just bass and just like dum 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 dum, like just that's moving you. Like the bass
Right.
line is what's moving you forward.
But you said the vocals really made you think
Yeah, no,
of Ian Curtis.
the vocals did, but then when you get into it and you listen to the music and the atmosphere, you're like, okay, my best explanation, if Ian Curtis had not died and they continued on as New Order, so you have all these New Order things, but with Ian Curtis's voice.
Okay.
That's probably the best I could give it. That's like my
All right.
description of it.
Okay. So I will definitely give that a spin. Great, great record. Great recommendation.
Right
Uh,
record.
great record. Okay, coming at my number nine. The year that Noah finally got in to Mannequin Pussy. Uh, the album is called I Got Heaven. I don't know if you're familiar with them at all. I guess they're post-hardcore, whatever. They're alternative. They're very heavy. It's just fucking it's rock, man. It just fucking rocks. Uh, the title track, I Got Heaven, fantastic. Loud Bark, I think, has kind of become the favorite single that's kind of made the rounds on social media. It's got like great slow burn building groove. My personal favorite is called I Don't Know You. Uh, just you I if you have not listened to them, this would definitely be, I think, the best gateway because I kind of went in reverse order. I've been hearing about them for years as a band that I should love given a lot of my other taste, and just kind of never gave them proper time of day. But it was the right time, and this is kind of the, I guess, quote unquote breakthrough album. So
Okay.
check it out. Uh, but particularly uh, those three. But it's kind of bangers start to finish on that album. It's a great like no skips for sure.
Hmm.
Uh, huge recommend. But yeah, I Got Heaven from Mannequin Pussy.
Would love it if one of their song titles was like, but the one you had was male. Like a play on aliens. It'd be pretty funny. All right, so this is my number eight.
Sure.
Sure. Okay.
if you
My
say if
number.
you say if you say so, Gav.
All right.
Coming in
My
at the
number.
number eight spot.
Kicking off the top, and I'm just kidding. Coming in hot at the number eight spot is a little album called In Waves by Jamie XX. Are you familiar with this artist?
In name only.
Okay, that's
And,
fair.
and I know is Big Popman a Popman? Is that correct?
I mean,
What's his vibe?
electronic, a lot of bass. So I first heard him on I watched an 808 documentary, and I don't remember him being in the doc per se. He probably was, and I just didn't remember because I was just focused on like the history of it. But Apple put together a playlist of songs that were used in that movie and or inspired. And one of his from his last album in 2016 called Gosh was put on there. And I was just like, barely any words, just a lot of just not even. I don't know what, just all different types of instruments used to make one song. It's probably the most popular one from that album. And so again, we were coming up on like 10 years. This was a surprise out of nowhere. Again, I'm like looking around. I'm not really don't have my finger on any sort of pulse as to what's going on, especially getting into the back half of the year. And then September again rolls around and it's like, oh hey, by the way, there's a whole new album here. And it's like, oh shit. Um, Heavy electronic stuff. Not gonna say in the same vein of like a Calvin Harris or one of these DJs that's like super, he may be a big deal in Europe or in England where he's from. I don't know of anything that would have been played over here on the radio because by the time we hear it on the radio over here, it's been out for forever. But there are some features on here that people we might know. Um, but for the most part, it's just, he's not singing anything. He's doing all the music and he's got, like I said, a couple guests that are good on it. And just, went through it once in the car, pretty good, kept going back to it here and there. And then I just because of I guess my algorithm, just because I was in it for that much, whenever it's on shuffle, it's like that one gets tracks over that get thrown up every now and then.
I know
Um,
it was very well received. I saw
oh
it
yeah,
on
yeah.
a lot of year-end lists, and I
Okay.
think on the Metacritic, like I think it made like the top 50 for the
Yeah.
year, if I'm not mistaken. Very, very well reviewed.
Hmm.
Uh, Somebody I guess I need to give a shot.
Hmm. Yeah.
Sorry, any other specific tracks you wanted to shout out? Didn't mean to cut you off
Life,
there.
life with features Robin, the singer from the '90s. It's had a whole career we didn't know about. I thought she was like a one-hit wonder. Didn't realize she'd had all this stuff going on all these years because I never paid attention, and I just remember listening to her on the radio. And there's another one called "Waited All Night." That's probably the single I think I've heard other places. Is "Waited All Night." But yeah,
Okay.
"In Waves" from Jamie XX is my number eight.
All right. My number eight is the latest addition to my list because it was the latest to drop. And I referenced earlier, it's almost a cliche at this point. You do the surprise drop, but it's kind of even more of a surprise after you're already kind of at the end of a year where you've kind of just owned the public consciousness, at least for about 6 months straight. Uh, my number eight is GNX by Kendrick Lamar.
Hmm.
I don't know if you've actually listened to any of this. I don't know that we probably shared a meme or two, but I don't know if you and I ever really chatted about the beef of the
With
year. Not that we
is it
have to do it right now, but
is it
um,
between him and a Canadian fella?
yes, that would be correct. Uh,
Oh, he and Jimmy aren't getting along.
yeah. So
Well, it's because Jimmy's not like him, right?
that's correct.
Okay, just making sure. I think I know what you're talking about.
That is correct. Okay, so yeah, I don't think you and I talked at all in the midst of that whole. It was like maybe like 2 weeks of just like sheer like what a lot of that. Yeah, a lot of just holy shit, can't believe this is happening. Oh,
I
he
did.
dropped again. This,
I
that,
I
etc.
did. I saw this thing about a guy who was dissecting the album cover in the car of Kendrick Lamar's thing, and like all that's being said, and him picking this specific car with this specific thing, and I was like, oh, that's dope as hell. And then now that you're talking about the context of this, I'm like, I think he was doing that on purpose to showcase people, and it's something probably nobody but like the diehard fans and people who just like, hey, wait a minute, picked up on. So just the cerebral part of all that, if that is what this guy who was breaking this thing down is, it makes me think like, yeah, he is Jimmy's not like him at all. He's
So
just on a
he
different
kind of
level.
obviously unequivocally wins the like the biggest rap battle in recent memory and in recent modern rap history, if you will. For this generation of rappers, it's as intense as it's ever got, you know.
Hmm.
uh and he comes off of that. He gets the Super Bowl announcement, and it's like, all right, cool. And then out of nowhere, okay. I I dropped basically like 5 or 6 singles over the course of the year. Here's an album. None of those songs are on there. Some of them sound like I made them yesterday, like I'm referencing things that just happened, like in the news and in the conversation of stuff going on around me. Some of them sound like they've been in the bank, like it's a mix. A lot of people have pointed out that it doesn't feel like an album, it feels like a mixtape. And the first
Hmm.
video, every like kind of visual reference in the video points to it being a double album because there's all these like little Easter eggs and shit. So there are people that still think like before the year is over, there might be a whole other record that's coming on top of or right on the back of this, or maybe
It
right
would
before
no.
the Super Bowl or right after the Super Bowl. But there's definitely this is the part one or the like appetizer. It's only 44 minutes long. It's more of just a like it's just him rapping his ass off, like top to bottom. It's a very like people have been calling it a victory lap. It's like, you know, I've been crowned as the greatest and now I get to like celebrate myself as the greatest, but in my particular way, not in the, the way you might expect. But it's super fun in a way that I think he hasn't been, in a way that uh some people kind of like run away from the more self-serious side of him. Uh, so I don't know. I think people are happy to see that back. That for me, I like it all. But it's a very fun, like just like very re-listenable record in a way that like you can throw these on like kind of any time as opposed to the other albums where it's like I kind of got to be in the mood to sit down and engage with this top to bottom where it's like you can pull a couple tracks off of it. This one is like for me personally like virtually no skips, but there's obviously the two big singles have been Squabble Up, which was the first video that they released, and then TV Off, which has the I have you heard the mustard drop? You have to have at some point,
Probably, yeah.
as much as you're on Instagram, but you know. Uh And then my personal favorite, and it seems like most people have been leaning on this one, but Reincarnated, which is a reinterpolation of a Tupac track. And also one that I would shout out to you to check out, and almost a song I would even play for dad, is called Luther, which is him and SZA together
Hmm.
and uses a Luther Vandross sample
Hmm.
and is just like a great like slow jam
I
and
think
like
I have heard about that. I've heard
it,
about that one
that one
before.
I feel like is like there's like three or four of them that are like all over like the radio, not just rap radio, but like some pop radio as well. That's the one that would like cross over to the pop and R&B stations where it's like and normally like I don't dislike that side of his discography, but on Damn, for instance, there's some of those tracks like don't hit as hard for me that are in that more R&B vein. This is like one of the best of that. I'd like, yeah, that
Hmm.
you just that one in particular. I'm like, dude, yeah, you got to remind me. We should play that for Pop sometime while we're back for Christmas. I feel like he might actually like it.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, check it out. I know you're not, he's not necessarily one of your go-tos, but I weirdly feel like this might be your weird window in because it's like it's just fun, dude. And it's a lot of variety. The beats are fun. It's very West Coast, very party-ish on a lot of stuff. There's still some heavier shit, but it's definitely, you know,
Hmm.
more of a good time than you usually get from old Kendrick. So yeah, that's my number 8. Back to you for your number 7.
My number seven, it was tough because I had two I was going to put at this spot, and the one that battled it out just because overall, um, I we're inundated with a lot of great female acts, and this girl I don't think gets enough credit. But number seven is Beautifully Ordinary from Tones and I. Um, you will know, you obviously know Dance Monkey. One of my favorite songs she ever came out with was Fly Away. And then again, this one just kind of popped up. I knew it had been in the mix. I'd read about it, like she was recording new music. And then again, August, it just kind of shows up. It's like, oh, okay, here we go. And it's definitely one of these like reflective vulnerable. Let me talk about like I got instant success from this Dance Monkey track, and like kind of got the first album was put out really quickly, and like this is me getting to sit down and kind of hone things out and think about some stuff and flesh it out and come up with some, really good stuff that's impacted by like higher quality, better like music to back it up and everything. Um, I did see that earlier this year. I think she did release her own little version of Down Under, which I thought was pretty cool. It kind of nothing in the same vein of it, but that's what I know. I was like, wait a minute, that looks it. And that's when I saw after that was released, like, oh hey, there's an album coming in August. So really like that one. The other one I was gonna put on here, but I couldn't just because it was so beautiful, but it was such a downer, and I'm not in a downer mood this year. Obviously, you know why. I was gonna put The Cure on here at this spot, but I couldn't
Uh
do it.
Same. Like the
I
Cure record is excellent,
Yes, it's amazing. It's like
but
it's yeah,
it's like well outside of my top 15 simply because I haven't been like, yeah, I'm really in the, and it's like, that's pretty true to like, honestly, the latter half of the discography. Like, it's
yeah.
in that direction, which is also why I think it's encouraging that he immediately was like, hey, also, I have been writing some fucking pop songs again. And the
Thank
next
God,
record,
dude.
then he literally
Yes.
said, he was like, the next one. And then he's like, and then there's like two more after that. And then they're retiring in 2027, I think.
Yeah.
So,
I want to
so
try and
I
find them
was
on
gonna say,
tour.
so we need to see them at some point in the next 3 years. But he basically kind of threw down. He was like, we're done after that. Like we're done with albums, and I guess they'll tour at the end of that as like a final thing. But I
Yeah.
think like beyond 2028, it will be impossible to ever see them again. So
Yeah,
we need to make that happen. But yes,
definitely.
sadly, also not didn't crack the top 10 for me. Great
Yeah.
record though. I
Yeah,
mean, I
yeah, that's
really,
the thing. I couldn't.
I was really excited when it happened. Listened to it day one, got super fucking depressed,
Yeah.
bummed out, and did not go back to it again.
I listened to one song a day. I was like, I'm gonna listen to one, I'll stop, I'll go back. I had to do it in pieces because I was like, this, I get it, I understand it. I don't necessarily know where it comes from with that band, but like, you're right.
Well,
The sense,
specifically, I think he lost his mom, then
yeah,
his dad, and I think a brother, like all in
yeah.
pretty rapid succession, or at least in the intervening years between projects. So
I mean,
obviously had a
16
lot of
years,
shit to
dude.
work through.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, but
Uh,
this little girl, Tones, like
sorry, yeah.
she had a lot.
Back to
She had a lot to write about that was good, cathartic, reflective for her. Again, we are in the age of we're in the female pop era. There's you're there's 17 women in the top 10
yeah, no,
already.
I,
Like
well, I
I
was
don't know
gonna
how that
say
happens, but there's 17 women in the top 10
that's
on
why
radio right now. Yeah.
I'm very curious as we continue up your list. I'm like, dude, is Gavin gonna turn me on to one of these pop princesses? Am I gonna find my girl? Because I don't have one. And like people keep asking me, they're like, which side are you on? Which one? And I'm like,
Is it
I
between
don't
who?
know. It,
Who
oh,
are they?
dude, it's like you gotta. Well, you got your Sabrina. You got you got your. Hold on. You got your Charlie. You got your
XCX?
Chapel. Yeah,
Yeah.
you got your. Yeah, I think I named all of them. Those are like the
Yeah, but
new three,
I
and
want
it's
them
like
to, I want
it's
them to
like
be,
no, I'm serious. It's like I'm really scared to say the wrong name or say that I like one and not the I was like and I gotta tell you the truth. I don't know. I don't know any of the songs. I don't know any of them. I know and I can identify them like visually. I don't know if I could like if you did a blind a sound only test. I don't know if I could like match them up with who's
that's
who.
why,
I don't
that's,
know if I could do it. I don't know if I could do it.
if I played you Tones and I alongside them, you'd be like, that girl sounds different. She sounds like
Well,
she might be from somewhere else, like Australia or something. And be like, oh yeah, okay.
well
I get it.
to
Her
that
voice
point,
is unique enough, I think.
somebody who just outside my top 10 as well. But Remy Wolf's Big Ideas, the second LP, been shouting
Hmm.
her out for the last couple years. Uh, Fantastic record as well. That's kind of like where that's my pop princess, I guess.
Hmm.
Which
Yeah.
she's just doing Prince, but I like it a lot. She's just
Yeah.
trying to do her version of that, and I'm into it. So, anyways, uh,
I want all the little girl acts, all those you just mentioned. I want them to make like a Highwaymen type group just to come after Taylor Swift.
why wasn't that what Boy Genius is supposed to be?
I don't know. What is Boy Genius?
It's like Phoebe Bridgers and what is it, Julian Baker. I'm gonna see. I'm like scared to say the wrong name. You're supposed to know all this stuff, which is that this is why we don't talk about music. It's because
Right.
we're not equipped. We're
Mm-mm.
not equipped.
No.
We just like what we like. Okay,
Yeah.
get off our backs, man.
Yeah.
All right. So it happens usually at least once in a top 10. Time for me to Uno flip reverse it on you, brother. I'm giving you my 7 and my 6 back to back because I got two soundtracks for you.
Soundtracks, you say?
Yes, and I have mentioned them uh, at some point, I think, during the year. I think I've mentioned both of these, so I won't dwell on them. But at my number 7, I have the original soundtrack to Sasquatch Sunset, which comes from a band called the Octopus Project. It's entirely ambient. It is gorgeous. It's fantastic. Sasquatch Sunset, uh, Riley Keough, Jesse Eisenberg. I forget the third and fourth person. I know the fourth person is one of the directors. Anyways, Sasquatch family, no dialogue, essentially like a perverse nature doc. Um, it's beautiful, it's disgusting, it's fucked up, it's weird. Uh, it's just, it's nature in all its glory. And given that there's no dialogue, it leans on its score, which is pretty phenomenal. It's just some of the best, like ambient, organic, outdoors, like just vibes, man. And
Hmm.
it really gets to shine. I was lucky enough to see this one in the theater. Score completely knocked me out. And I was like, dude, this is the score of the year. I was like, this is definitely gonna be around on my top 10. Surely nothing will top it as far as soundtracks go. And then like the next week I saw Challengers, uh, which has Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross just like going to the club, just throwing down some fucking Italian disco, four on the floor beats, just the most like energetic thumping. And the thing is like as with most of their album or most of their soundtrack work, it's like they hit a main theme and they iterate on it in great and interesting ways, which so it's like on that soundtrack, for instance, you have like basically five or six variations of the main theme and then a few other things sprinkled in there. But it's such a main theme, dude. And
Hmm.
the match point, like finale, when everything comes in, and then you're like, dude, it cannot get any fucking more intense. I'm so into this. And then they drop the fucking strings, man. The fucking Italian disco strings come in, and you're like, dude, I didn't know it could go any like you're like levitating out of your seat, which is what I was doing in the theater, and then the movie just fucking boom, just ends crescendo. Did you watch it yet? It's on Amazon Prime.
What movie?
Challengers, Luca
No.
Guadagnino's Challengers.
Nah, man. I don't know. I like Zendaya. I'm not itching to see everything she's in.
It's I think I think I think you'd like it. You should probably
Okay.
check it out. Okay. Uh but yeah, both fantastic movies, which I will shout out here because they may or may not appear again. Who
Okay.
knows? Teaser, spoiler, I don't know. Uh, but yeah, two fantastic soundtracks. Completely different directions and vibes. But yeah, when you need to come down after the high of the Challengers soundtrack, then you go into Sasquatch Sunset. But I did have them flip-flopped on my list.
Okay.
So now you're gonna give me your six, and then I will kick off the top five, which puts you in the position to, I think, be the one who closes it out. There we
Right.
go.
Okay.
Unless we have crossover.
Have we ever on a music podcast? I don't feel like we have.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And
Maybe.
I think it might. It's possible. Hey,
Okay.
it could happen.
All right.
It could
S-
happen.
All right. So rounding out my first part of my top 10, number 6 is Bando Stone and the New World by Mr. Childish Gambino. It's my number 6. The last Childish Gambino album that we're going to get.
So he says.
So he says, yes. Who knows? Who
Did
knows
you
with
all
that guy?
did you also listen to the like I guess properly titled the one that he released like a while ago that was all like untitled MP3s? I guess he went back and actually like, hey, here's what these things are. And then it was more like a finished version of it also came out earlier this year, if I'm not
Atavista?
mistaken. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. But it's like it was all pre-existing material for the most part,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So that one doesn't really count as the new release. Uh, I like
Yeah.
both of these. Um,
Yeah. It was recorded in March 2020. So yeah, that this new one, Bando Stone, that
I
was a
don't,
brand. Yeah.
you know, I like as far as the kind of, the demarcation point. I like Awaken My Love. I haven't been like beyond that. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know if I've loved anything as much as that, if that makes sense. But
Mm-hmm.
and that's like there's a very different like prior era of camp and because of the internet and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
anyways, I like both these. What are you shouting out though off of Bando Stone? Also,
I, I
did the
haven't seen that
movie
yet.
ever become a like was it ever released anywhere?
I don't
Is the
know.
thing. Because
I've
like
been
with
told to.
Guava Island, it was all tied in with Amazon and he has the overall deal with Amazon. So I just
Mm-hmm.
kept waiting for like, is this gonna pop up? And then I thought I saw something recently where people were like, wait, that was just like they kind of were realizing like, oh, maybe that was just like a fake trailer. Like maybe that whole thing was just like a promo marketing setup thing and they didn't actually shoot anything. I don't know.
Yeah, it just says it currently does not have a release date, but it looks like it could be a pretty like the whole thing looks like it would be great, but I don't know.
I will just shout out because he's, adjacent, but Hiro Murai, of course, who has
Yes.
directed most of his videos and a lot of Atlanta, is finally making a feature. Did you hear about this?
No, I did not.
He's making a feature and it is a samurai film.
I'm there day one. Let's do
I
this.
mean, yeah, I don't
Do
literally
you have to
don't
tell me anything
care
else?
about any other details, but he's
It could be
making a
He could be remaking Ghost Dog Way of the Samurai. I'll go watch it.
dude.
He could be remaking it with Brian Tyree Henry. I'll go watch it.
That sounds like a great idea.
I have good ones every now and then. Yeah, but I would throw out
All
I like Survive and Real Love.
right,
Yeah.
very well then. Okay, kicking off.
Gentlemen, a moment to reflect. All right, Noah, go ahead and take us on into the top five with your number five
Kicking
album
off
of the
the
year.
taking it straight to the top, the tippity top of the top five, kicking it off strong. Tank. I tried to put it in there. Didn't want to say it too loud. Don't want to scream into the mic. Tank. From reoccurring favorites. Always make an appearance anytime they put out a record. Pretty much at this point. Idols, who I finally got to see in person in Asheville just a week before they got absolutely devastated. Um,
Yikes.
which I will shout out here because it is music related. If you are a Bandcamp user, and even if you are not, if you are familiar with the charity Beloved Asheville, which you can find on social media at Beloved Asheville, okay, on Instagram, etc. They put together a charity album, which my bandmate Nathan Stevens tipped me off to, and I contributed to, as well as we contributed a track as ourselves as Warehouses. That's our band, and I contributed a track as nARK as well. And it's a big old compilation. I think it's just shy of like 300 tracks. I think it's like 277 or something like that. Uh, Bands of varying sizes, independent artists, label artists, etc. Kind of the biggest get was REM, through like an unreleased live version of a track that had never been out there before,
Hmm.
to kind of help promote it. I think it was like actually recorded at at least a North Carolina show at some point back. I think it's like from the 80s or 90s. Anyways, that's on there. Uh, excuse me. Several bands. Anyways, that's available on Bandcamp. It is called Caverns of Gold, and it's again part of the beloved Asheville charity. All of the proceeds go directly to helping that charity and everything that they do, which ranges from like helping people rebuild homes to like providing food, etc. Like they do a little bit of everything. A lot
Hmm.
of just it's all community based. They're just no they're nonprofit. It's all just everybody helping everybody else kind of thing. So if you would like to check that out, I'll put a link in the show notes as well. But uh, check that out. Check that out. So I saw Idols in Asheville at Rabbit Rabbit, which is the sister venue of the Orange Peel. It's an outdoor venue. I believe both of those venues were greatly affected as well. So if you are one of those people who likes to support live music, even in states that you don't live in, they could definitely probably still use donations, even this far past all of that stuff. I know everybody's still in recovery mode, and especially around the holidays, it never hurts. So I'll shout all that out. Fantastic show. I've been waiting to see them for several years now. It did not disappoint, and it went beyond my expectations because it was that like dream set level shit where it was like I saw virtually everything I could want to. There was a handful of like deep cuts that it was like, dude, if they played this, like I would never believe it. And they hit some of those. They did not hit all of them, but it was a damn near, I think it was a 24 song set. They played for a while. Like they were going so fast at one point that they kind of realized, oh, we still have a lot more set list time. And they threw in more songs. Like they just kept fucking going. It was an
Hmm.
incredible night, everything I could have hoped for. Tank, it's again, it's not gonna like win over anybody who's not already convinced, but it is one of those like honing the like absolutely just like razor sharp craft. They know what they are and want to do, and they uh Crawler, the previous record, was this kind of like we we want to start to show that we are not this one note band and that we do have a lot more dimensionality. And Tank, I think, is the best fusion of like, we still know how to quote unquote play the hits and do the things that people really respond to from us. Heavy driving bass lines, killer drums, assaultive like vocals, killer, guitars, distortion, everything. Just like the punk mentality of it all. But
Hmm.
we also like, you know, we like to do a fucking, you know, slow jam inspired by Roy Orbison every once in a while. Like we have that in us too.
Hmm.
So I think Tank is a great entry point. Maybe the easiest to just like plug into. Uh to that point, one of my favorite tracks is called Roy, named after Roy Orbison. Uh just as a fun one to maybe get you on board, which is kind of ironic given the fact that they went through a bunch of legal shit this year that became very public. But there's a song called Hall and Oates, which is all just about like loving your fucking buddy, loving your brother, loving your man. Uh, but my favorite off of this, which I think weirdly like might have been one of the more divisive ones, is called Pop Pop Pop, uh, which is a little bit different sonically, and I think so fucking interesting, and one of my favorite tracks they've ever dropped. But a lot of other great ones on here. Gift Horse, Dancer, which is a collaboration with LCD Sound System. There's so much great shit on here. Uh, Bangers top to bottom. Can't miss with this one. Tank from Idols, number 5.
All right, sounds good. Okay, this is going to be the first, maybe not the last, maybe it
And
is the last.
sorry, I don't know if I'm saying it's Tang, like tang,
Oh,
with a K on the end of it. So it's like a tank,
tank,
but it tang, tank,
tank,
tang. Yeah, you're saying it way better than I. You got it.
tank.
Didn't mean to interject. You're number
Okay.
five.
All right. My number five, kind of a bit of a cheat, but I'm going to do it anyway.
I already
It's a
cheated
double.
once.
You could do a double bill. You could put either one of these in here. I'm going to start with my favorite one. You could put "We Did It" or "Happy" in here, either one. Both by Doggyland. I don't know if you know who Doggyland is. Doggyland is the apparently once Snoop became a grandfather, he got tired of his grandchildren watching Coco Melon. He's made an entire series that he is the voice of. So "We Did It" has classics like "Happy Birthday," "One Two Buckle My Shoe," um, "This Little Piggy," um, and all these other fun, like, things that we would know from children with Snoop in there and a backing group that sings along with kids. Um, and the other one, Happy, has the same thing, but there's all these like little fun songs that aren't like, you know, like you got "I'm a Little Teapot" on Happy, but then you also have like "I Love My Dad" or like "I Can Do Anything," the affirmation song. So it's all these just like nice, fun things that like eventually I'm gonna have to start curbing what I'm playing around Mav. And I knew this was a thing, and I didn't realize they were available on Apple. And as soon as they were, I started downloading them. So when it would just be me and him after work, and he's back in his room, not sitting in his swing, but just standing next to it, swinging it back and forth, because that's what he does now, because he just loves to do that. It's like, well, I'll just play this because it's like, is he gonna remember any of this? No. But am I worried about cognitively, like somehow he could, fire a synapse and, well, wait, I remember this. I don't think I don't have any memories before four. I'm gonna assume he doesn't. Everything I've read, it says this whole time is just for me anyway. But I figured, why not get into it? Because if I can like curb him and be like, hey, this is fun to listen to, right? I won't have to listen to like the Kids Bop and the Disney Channel and all that. Like I could just kind of wean him into like you know Doggyland, Snoop and all that. We've kind of slowly started with Bluey on TV. Not really a lot of music there, but we're getting into some more like, okay, we got to curb a couple of things. But for the most part, it's still listen to whatever. But those came out, and I was like, you know what? I don't. I'm sure people know about it, and I'm sure he's gotten a lot of credit as for other stuff he's done in the last couple of years as well. But like, I thought it was a neat thing. He made only he could do something like this, where he just, okay, well, I'm just going to make this whole thing up and just do it, and he's done it because he's been everywhere. He's at
And
the
and
Olympics this year.
also and also simultaneously have a new collab, a new project with Dr. Dre that I think dropped like maybe last week.
Yeah,
So
yeah. So
he can do
he's
it
everywhere, dude.
all.
This is his year, dude. I'm sorry. Like
I feel like
everybody's talked about that.
I feel like this is his decade, if
Oh
we're
yeah, yeah.
being real. Like the Snoop renaissance of the last like several years. I mean, he's kind of never left the public consciousness, but it's like it just kind of went into overdrive when you started hitting the Martha Stewart, like the like household name level of like everybody just loves him. He's everybody's like uncle or grandpa or whatever at this point. It's just,
He's like a
it's
certified national treasure.
I mean, after the Olympics, I guess is the cementing of that. But I feel like I feel like that was like a foregone conclusion where it's like it just made sense to everybody because it's like everybody's kind of felt that way for a very long time now. I don't know. But anyways, okay. Great pick. Great
Yeah.
pick. Not a cheat. We'll allow it.
Okay, because
We'll
I might have to
allow it.
cheat again later, so I'm just letting you
It's quite all right.
know. Okay.
My number four, Year of the Banana
Hmm.
from the band Rebel Bucket.
Okay.
Just one of my absolute faves. Saw them last year. Gonna see them again first first of the year in Asheville, I think, and then they'll be in Charleston sometime in the summer. One of the best live shows I've ever been to. Stellar experience. I still don't know if you've ever listened to them. Brought them up multiple times. The horns, Gavin. The horns.
Okay.
You got to listen. They all play horns. They
Mm-hmm.
sing, they dance, great drums, great sense, great everything, dude. Uh, the lead singer, uh, I always feel like I'm gonna fuck her name up. Calmia. I'm not sure. Traver. She just, I absolutely love her voice. She's incredible. And then everybody in the band, top notch musicians. Just, dude, it's it's just a vibes album more than anything, but like very accessible. But then lyrically, it's based on like poetry from like 2015 about like the two of them, her and Alex Toth is the other like co-founder, the other like main singer, and they were in a relationship, they broke up, the band almost broke up as a result of that, and then like they didn't, and then her working through it, she wrote a bunch of poetry, et cetera, et cetera. That is this album now. So like almost 10 years later, they've made several records in between and existed as a band post all of this. Uh, so that's kind of like the undergirding like theme of the album, but it's just fucking bangers, dude. Like there's so many fun songs on here. But the opener, Stella the Begonia, is like a great kick your day off sort of song. It's a great like start your day sort of album. It's a great sunny day record. Not really great for the winter time right now, unless you're the kind of person who likes to actively listen to like an antidote. You don't like want to match the vibe of what's going on around you. Uh, but Go All the Way with Me, huge favorite, and Swimming in the Light is maybe where I would want you to start too, dude. I don't know. There's so many great ones on here, but just try and tap in. I really think they would be one of your faves, like if you
Hmm.
actually listen to them. And I think the real thing is like if you just saw them live, it would completely change your mind.
Yeah,
Just
maybe I just need
one
to
of
do that. Just go in blind and watch a live show and be like, all right, let's
well,
see how this sounds.
they're
Because yeah,
they're
that
they're
might work.
gonna be they're gonna be here uh mid 2025, so maybe make the trip down. They might even have a Columbia date as well, and if they
Hmm.
do, like, whatever, we'll make it work. But I feel like you would have an absolute blast. There's such a good time. uh yeah, so Rubble Bucket, You're the Banana, my number 4 favorite album 2024.
Alrighty then. So my number four favorite album of 2024 is an album called Passage du Desire. I don't know what you call it by Johnny Blue Skies, but Johnny Blue Skies is actually Sturgill Simpson.
Okay,
So
this is like a Chris Gaines sort of situation.
I mean, yes and no. Johnny Blue Skies apparently is what a bartender when he first started out called him all the time. So he just kind of went with it. He's been making just like stuff that just is completely not him. The last thing he had in 2021 was Dude Juanita, which is like a really like concept album. It's a narrative thing all the way through. And he'd been kind of flirting with that since 2019 Sound and Fury that I raved about when it came out then. And he was in the last season of Gemstones. He's been doing stuff in there. And this was just like, I don't know, man. There's a song on here that I think it's Scooter Blues is what it's called. And it basically just talks about him like wanting to go to an island. And like the only problem he'll have to worry about is like, can his scooter make it down to the store to him? And like people ask if he is the dude he was, and he'll say, I don't know. Like he just seems like he's kind of done what he wanted to do musically. He had that success in country music. Then he said, well, I'm not just country, I can do anything. And I feel like people still have kind of pigeonholed him into just being a country artist. But he's just a rock and roller. He just makes dope music. And I didn't know this was coming. Again, came out in July. Would not have known that it was him. But I usually, as we get into this time, but this is about a month ago, I started looking at people and I'm like, I really like this, or a song will come up when I'm listening to, and I'll just happen to tap the artist, go see what's up. It's like, oh, wait a minute, here's this new thing. But again, it was under a different name, but if you click that name, it just reverts back to him. So um I love it. I just
Was
his
that a in I guess we can talk around spoilers for people that may have not seen it this far into the year. That's a Sturgill Simpson song in
in
Civil
Civil War.
War.
Yep.
I
I
was
don't know
gonna
what it's
say
off of, but I know
right
it's
ar
him.
right around when the movie came out, I was the first time I started to listen to him for a little like more than I had.
Hmm.
And but also in parallel to that, I was listening to a lot of Suicide, which is also featured on that soundtrack.
Hmm.
And I ended up just becoming obsessed with Suicide for like 4 months at the beginning of the year. And yeah, kind of lost track of what was going on with old Sturgill. So
Yeah.
uh okay, I will go. But it's again. like if I look him up, it'll be under there,
It's
or
yeah.
is
If
it
you
a
look him
whole
up,
separate artist profile? Like, is
no.
he?
If
He's
you
not
like
taking it that
seriously,
deep. Okay,
if I Google, you see Sturgill Simpson here. It's right. It's the last thing he's done. It's
gotcha.
gonna say Johnny Blue Skies when you open the album up, but it's him. And again, it's that
Understood.
voice. You know you can't tell me like that's not Johnny Blue Skies. That's Sturgill Simpson. And it's like, oh, okay. I don't think it's a Chris Gaines kind of thing because we all know Chris Gaines is Garth Brooks's murdering alter ego with all these bodies that have been popping up at all of his shows.
Well, I didn't. Inadvertently, I didn't mean to bring him up, but what's going on with the allegations? That just like came and went, right? They
Yeah,
buried that shit.
it's all joke. I mean, it's not. It was never. It was all a
Oh
bullshit
no,
thing.
I was just gonna say I thought they buried that shit real quick because he did the like he wanted to publicly out whoever it was, and then
I think it was Tom
and then
Segura that started it all.
I never heard it. No, I'm talking about him being accused of, I believe, sexual assault or rape earlier this year.
Oh, I have no idea
Not
what you're talking
talking
about.
about the murder thing.
Oh,
No, he was
I don't know.
accused of sexual assault and or rape by a makeup artist who had worked for him in the past. And then I saw like it was one of those things. It was like there's an article about it one week, and it was like he's trying to have her publicly outed or what, like wants to have her named in the deposition, and then uh, nothing.
Hmm.
So
Wow. No, didn't hear about that.
sorry to bring that up. I just didn't want to like say Garth Brooks and then not acknowledge that like I'm pretty sure he's embattled at the moment. Might be facing some legal
There's a
proceedings
lot of guys who
before
are in battle. Do we
I
want to
was
talk
gonna
about what Cat Williams said at the beginning of this year? Because it's all coming home to roost right now. I mean,
I
it
was just gonna
literally
say
all of it is.
I was gonna say he's probably really, really happy right now that some other things came to light for some other people that maybe took some of the steam off of him. But that was a thing earlier this year. Just to
Oh wow.
remind people, I'll let you go Google on your own. I don't know about the validity. I just know it was a thing for at least a weekend news cycle
Wow.
or an afternoon news cycle, if we're being
Yeah.
real about it. It's definitely something I saw at work, and then I was like, hey, tried to follow up on that like 2 or 3 days later. Nothing. Like, what? What?
So yeah, I had a thing like that pop up, and I never looked into it. But is it true that Bob Breyer is dead?
I don't. Yes? No?
I saw a
Wait.
thing that said they found him dead in a hotel room, and I was like, no, I didn't want
Oh,
to believe it.
no, I don't think I, no, I don't think I saw that. Did you see, you know, MCR's tour,
Yeah,
Black Parade anniversary tour next
yeah,
year?
yeah,
I'm,
dude, yeah. November 24th, 2024, Bob Breyer dead in Tennessee.
that's where you're gonna go?
44 years old. Crazy.
Oh
I was one of
shit.
those like
Oh, just looked, I sorry. I thought
that's
you were
right
talking about
there.
a tour date. Oh, damn, dude. So that was this year?
Yeah, November.
I did not
That's
see anything
crazy,
about
man.
that. That's nuts.
It literally popped up on like a flash thing on threads, like Instagram threads. Because I'll see stuff on Instagram, I'm like, that's interesting. I realize, oh, it's going over to threads. It popped up, I saw it, and I was like, what? And before I could go looking at it, somebody called me about doing something else. I was called away from my phone, and I was like, okay. And I just didn't think about it until you just mentioned this now, of like something that just popped up. Because in my mind, I'm like, that's a big deal. But I'm like, there's people who have no idea who that guy is. If you weren't a My Chemical Romance fan, you're like, who's this? Why is this relevant to
I'm
me?
still
Yeah.
surprised it didn't, between me, you, and Tim, I'm surprised nobody came across it. Like, well, I guess
Yeah.
you did, but I had not seen anything about that. That's, well, R.I.P. Bob Breyer. Sorry. Damn. Um, Shit. Okay. Way to bring the mood to, where are we at? I don't
We're
even
your
know.
top number three. Wait
My,
a let's see if
sorry.
we can pull this one back from the edge, Noah.
Okay,
What's
I
number
am
three?
genuinely did not plan this. Genuinely not trying to make a joke. Let's try and not laugh at this. My next album is called People Who Aren't There Anymore
Oh fuck.
by the band Future Islands. Okay, we're
Of
just
course it was
rolling right
Future
along.
Islands. I knew
Uh,
it was Future Islands. How did I
what
know
are you gonna
not
do,
know?
man? They got the best sense in the biz.
I know.
They got the best front
That's
man in
why
the
that's why
biz. What do you
why
want? What do you
why
want
wasn't
from
on
me?
why it wasn't on my list?
That's why it wasn't on your list.
Because I
Did
knew it
you
was gonna be on yours.
did you listen to this record?
Yes, I did.
Okay, well,
Ever
okay.
since I saw that show that the guy was in, you're like, dude, that's the Future Islands guy. I don't want to watch the show anymore. Not that I have a child, now that I have a child, but like I was like, that dude's the Future Islands dude, and you're like, yeah. So I was like, okay. And again, I have people that look, this is what you're talking about. Yeah,
I
this one,
wonder
right?
if, yeah,
Yeah, I had it downloaded, but yeah.
I wonder if he knows that like Changeling is bringing in new fans. Like, who'd have thunk it? All he had to do was become an actor to get you to give a shit about his band.
Well, because he was really good. I was like, holy shit,
It
this
was
guy, why have I not seen this guy before?
The Jared Leto method, dude.
Yeah.
How
If you want to
how do
get
we
to
not
me,
know?
stop making movies and just be like, I get that Jared Leto wanted to be a rock star the entire time, but like, I needed him in Fight Club
Okay,
and as the Joker for me to care about,
so
30 Seconds to Mars.
all right. So I will let you shout out some tracks then as well. But first, I will just say I talked about this one earlier in the year with Nathan Stevens when we did kind of our like mid-year
Hmm.
roundup, or like first quarter. But much like Tank, the Idols record, this is one of those just like they have honed exactly what they are. And it's kind of at this point like there are some people who want to rag on bands for not evolving enough or like want to the same people will turn right around and like hate on them when they try and stretch outside of their genre boundaries, you know? It's this weird double-edged sword. I feel like they they're have managed to hone their sound without making the same record over and over again.
Hmm.
They don't feel like that to me. Um, and I think pretty much top to bottom, this is one of pound for pound the strongest outings since they kind of hit that upper like that next level. The only things that hold it back for me slightly are the fact that like I had heard three or four of these tracks were released as singles over the last 2 years prior. And I don't know if there was delay. I know there was delays maybe in actual production, but then I also know that the album itself is kind of bifurcated in as much as like half of it was written while he was still in this like kind of new long-term relationship, and then the other half of it was written after it was over. And I think like pandemic and post pandemic is kind of where all of that fell apart. So a
Hmm.
lot of that is tied into it as well. But even with the caveats of like I kind of knew I for the most part I like not knowing anything about a record going into it, and sometimes too many singles prior can ruin a record. That was not the case with this one. It wasn't the case with Rebel Bucket. They put out half of that record. It's only 9 tracks. They put out half of it as singles, like 2, 3 months before the album even came out. And I still, when I got to hear it in sequence, was like, this is top notch. So good. So,
Hmm.
but my personal favorites, uh, I think The Fight is maybe like a top three, maybe my favorite Future Island song ever. Uh, I think it's absolutely transcendent. Absolutely love it. My other, nothing else quite compares to it on this, even though I think the entire record is pretty phenomenal after that. Iris would be up there. And I'm going to throw King of Sweden, which is the opener, because when that dropped 2 years prior to this record, I was like, holy shit. And that was my driving soundtrack, like on repeat back when I was working for the limo service a couple years back. And that song, dude,
I didn't
just
realize that wasn't one that had come out already. I like that one, the
yes.
opener. Yeah.
Uh yeah, but the fight, the kind of slow jam, which obviously very much feels like it's about a relationship and like not giving up on like the the fact that there could be an opportunity or something afterwards, like that you can move on from it.
Hmm.
But it again, what I love about Sam Herring's songwriting is like it is poetry, like as a baseline, but some of it is so direct and simple, and some of it is also so specific, but I feel like it is just broad enough in the right way so as you can kind of map whatever you want onto like the emotions of what you're feeling communicated in these songs. Like the lyrics kind of at a certain point do become secondary to just the feeling that he is communicating uh through his instrument, which is his fucking voice. And again, I think for a long time you'd hear me sit here over and over again, and I still stand by this. I think the best and most unsung pop frontman of of the modern era is Brandon Flowers. But my favorite frontman, like period, right now, has been Sam Herring, like for the last decade probably. Uh, and I would also say that he's pretty unsung as well, but just a guy who gives like 210% every single time I ever see any kind of live performance from them. Yeah. So yeah, that's my number three. People who aren't there anymore from Future Islands. Your number three, brother.
Well, my number three is by a man who has made this list many a time in the last 5 years,
Oh,
but who has lied to us in so much as stating that by the time he turned 30, he was just going to, after he turned 30, he was just going to be a country artist. But he's 29 and he just dropped F1 Trillion. This is Post Malone. Who did you
all
think I was
right.
going with? Did you think I was?
No, I was just like in real time, I was like realizing I forgot to mention something about the GNX record.
Uh-huh.
Probably the biggest selling point to you, the Kendrick
Hmm.
Lamar record. I think like 90% of it produced by Jack Antonoff.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
We can talk. We're going to talk about him in a minute. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, see, that's why I didn't want to step on it because I
Yeah.
was
No,
like, did
no,
he
I get
put
it.
out a record this year? Because,
Yeah,
okay.
he did. We'll talk about it in about 2 minutes or however long it takes you to get to wherever. Anyway,
So Post
Post.
Malone's a country, Posty's a country artist now.
I mean,
Excuse me. Posty's a country artist now is what you're telling me.
yeah, I
You're
mean,
telling me this boy's come down to Nashville and he's gotten the cred, the credentials to perform at the Opry. You, is that
no
what
way,
you're telling
no,
me?
no way. He had some help. All right. He had some help doing it. The boy's from Texas. The boy knows music. And he's just coming on to Nashville like everybody else. Theo Vaughn's in Nashville. All these fellas is in Nashville just having a good old time. And he goes to Nashville and produces. What's he find in Nashville? It's a lot more of a 9 to 5 gig. It's not a let's go hang out in the studio and do drugs and stay up all night till 3 or 4 in the morning
You
making music.
gotta
No, this is a
take your
nine.
craft seriously.
You got to get up. You got to get up and eat. You got to go songwriting from 9 to 5.
It's
Go
about the
recording from
work.
9. It is all about the work. Every last bit of it. It is about the work. It does
Now,
not
now
matter
here,
who
now
you are.
here's the real question. Here's the real question. Now we all know, yes, it is about the work. Does it show? Does it show on this record?
It
That's
shows
the real question that we need
it.
to be asking.
It shimmies and shines and shows through every single facet of this album. I'm talking, listen, remember how I used to talk about how Post, I would always be sad for him, like, who hurt this man? What happened? This ain't one of those tracks, brother. Not a track nor a record. It's not
Wait,
about the
wait, wait,
track.
wait. Now you hold on just a goddamn minute. You're telling me professional sad boy Posty is going to come over to the saddest of all musical genres, country, and he's not going to be a sad bastard? What is going on? I ask you, brother. I say, what what are you what are you saying? What are you
What,
saying to me right now?
what I'm trying to tell you, old son, is that both Post and I, we have experienced the miracle of childbirth and childbearing. And now nothing is going to make that man sadder because he has done something that some people want to do, some people don't think they can do, but something we all strive to do genetically deep down inside of us as Homo sapiens. Having a child unlock something inside you know, and the only thing you're sad and scared about now is them. Life, the partying, the work, the crap. You're not worried about none of that no more. All you're worried about is your own flesh and blood, your own kin, and making sure that they understand how much you love them and how much You just want to do right by them and how much you want to make them proud. And I think that's what the man's seen, and that's what you're feeling and seeing this record. I don't think it's necessarily a victory lap, but I do think that he's tapped everybody in Nashville to come out and do all this fun stuff with him. I mean, the boy, he's got Morgan Wallen on the track, Noah. Morgan fucking Wallen. Come on now. You can't tell
You
me that
gotta be
that's not
shitting
gold.
me.
He's no, he's got Tim McGraw and Hank Jr.
I tell you, you're lying through your goddamn teeth right now. There's
He
no
has got
way
there's a
they are on this record.
he has got a track with Mr. Stefani himself, Blake Shelton. He tapped the queen of all, Dolly Parton, to come and work with him as well. No, I tell you,
Not,
Luke Combs,
not Dolly.
Dolly's on here. Brad Paisley's on here. No, Ernest is on this fucking record along with
Well, damn, with all these features, does the boy get to sing a lick or what?
he. Listen, the formula might have been we don't know what's going on with him. Let's surround him with good talent, and if he can't do it, they won't know. But God damn it, no other boy can do it. He's got a song on here with Chris Stapleton. Motherfucking Chris Stapleton. Billy Strings is on this record, Noah. Phenom Billy Strings out of nowhere. The the baddest man in country music right now, officially. Jelly Roll, my favorite in country music. God damn it, he's on here too.
Well, it just sounds like it's a big old party.
It is a fucking party, man. If there's
A
one person
big
who could
old
show,
white party. No Beyonce allowed on this record here. I tell you what. All right.
listen, all I'm saying is, if these boys in Nashville needed to
Let's
learn
just
how to
say
party,
some people get a big old open arm welcome and some don't. Let's just say that. Why
yeah,
don't we? Okay.
we could.
Are we done with the segment, dear brother? Can we transition to our top two?
Yeah,
Or are we done? Are you shouting out tracks? You
no,
shouted out every goddamn person that's on the record. Do you want to shout out some tracks?
no, that's going to be the fun part. You can go listen to the tracks and be like, oh, this is the one that Morgan's on. This is the one that Luke's on. This is one that Blake's on. God damn it, Dolly's on this one too. I would have loved to see one with Diamond Rio, Brooks and Dunn, or the man Garth Brooks himself. But as we've mentioned, Garth's in a little hot water these days, so
Or
maybe he didn't have time.
the late great Toby Keith.
Oh, should have been a goddamn cowboy, Noah. You still have my heart in the palm of your hand. Sorry, that's a bad. I don't care what anybody says. Well, you think what you want about Toby Keith,
Perfect
but like
record.
that was perfect, dude.
That's a perfect
Yes.
record. I can't vouch for anything outside of it, but that one,
Yeah.
the black pants, the blue denim button down, the bolo tie, the mullet.
Dude, yeah. Even he had a mullet.
It was like
People
the
say
Jerry curl era mullet though. It was the
yes.
good one
Yeah.
before he got the trash
It
mullet,
was like a
before he did
perm. It was like a perm mullet.
it
Like
was
this
before
was
he did the dog the bounty hunter look. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Our, complicated guy. R.I.P. Toby, I guess. I love that record. I love that
Yeah.
record. Okay. Um, where are we at? Top two. Top two.
Yes.
Let's do it. Let's do it. We can finish up strong. Come on now. Come on now. We got really fucking. It was just too much fun.
It was.
That was too much fun. Go ahead. All right.
All right, you want me to do my number two?
For literally me, you, and mom when she listens to it. And
Oh yeah.
that's a short list. Maybe Becky.
Yeah.
Maybe Becky.
She'll just be happy you're not
I
talking to
feel
Maverick that way.
I was gonna say I feel like we might just get the I think you should leave eye roll. The like I don't fucking get it. I don't get it. All right. Number two. Wait, me two? My two.
Yeah, when
Yeah,
we
you gave me
flipped it,
post. Sorry. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
you're two.
My number two, again, I thought the only possible, maybe, semblance of synergy, maybe doable in the whole wide wonderland of this list. The well I fell into? No, didn't crack it.
Yeah,
Didn't do it
no,
for you. Left
no.
it off. All right. It's
I
from,
mean,
you
yeah,
know,
I knew it was coming on yours. I enjoyed it.
the only reason anybody still maybe happens to be subscribed to this feed, the band we're talking about, the band Y, at my number two
Plus,
slot.
if I came out and said I liked it now, then what's the episode going to be? You not trying to convert me to it? Hello, we got to give the
We were
people what they want.
Well,
I just wasn't doing it for me. No, sell me on it.
Maverick's just got to grow the hell up and go to daycare. Is what's got to happen if we're going to record those episodes. Let's be real. We can't be listening to Y records around the child, okay? In the formative years. He's got
Listen,
to be a little older.
yeah, he will never go to daycare. That was your mom said that,
Okay,
not me. Your
excuse
mother said
me.
that.
Excuse me. I'm sorry. Sorry. Let me back the fuck out of my own studio right now. I'm so fucking
Dude, I'm just
scared.
saying you should have been there, dude. We were walking into a basketball game and she just grabbed me and Becky was like, "He's not going to go to daycare." I was like, What are you talking about?" Like I didn't know who she was talking about. She's like, "Maverick, he won't go to daycare." I was like, "Oh, okay." And so that's why she's been watching him ever since.
Uh, continuing a trend of I'm realizing now my little run of four, three, and two, all breakup albums. All breakup albums.
Uh,
Yes. This
Question:
one,
Is this
I'm sorry. Go
was
ahead.
this the person he was on vacation with when they got together? We don't know.
I'm
Okay,
not
just
sure, and I don't
curious.
want to speculate.
Me neither.
There, that's as with any artist that you know a little bit, have a little bit more of a window into, or, you know, just can, that you're keyed into through maybe social media or some other things. You definitely bring some baggage to it or some assumptions,
Yeah,
but that may or may not be correct. So who knows? I don't know. I
yeah.
don't
She could
know.
have been long gone
What
before
I
we ever
do,
saw him on tour. We don't
what
know.
I do know is that this is a fantastic record. I knew there was a nice talk about like letting you know something was coming. This is the culmination of the artist in residency thing
Yeah, yeah. I remember you
that he
telling me about
started
that.
doing through the
Hmm.
label.
Yeah.
And then also coincides with this. This is the first release, if I'm not mistaken, and I don't want to fuck up the name. I don't have it in front of me. Apologies, Yoni, if you somehow happen to be listening. There is a new label, which is essentially the spiritual successor to Anticon, which was the kind of artist owned and indie label that they had going for a while. So I believe this is the first major release on it. There's more stuff forthcoming. But this was the culmination of the artist in residency thing where it's like you kind of saw these tracks demoed as he also monthly would release like covers and other behind the scenes stuff. So a very unique process where it's like I got to see this album kind of evolve in real time with this gap of like, okay, some of these are pretty fully fleshed out. Some of these might be a completely different story by the time we get to the album. Who knows? Um, and just like also wondering like, is everything gonna make it? What's the cutting process, et cetera, all of that. And it was very cool. I didn't do it like week or month to month rather, or whatever. I would kind of like catch up on it in spurts. And so when it finally dropped, it was kind of like fresh to me all over again. And then I did get to see them again in Asheville over at the Gray Eagle a couple weeks prior to that Idol show. And it was another fantastic outing. It was the first night of the tour, and they like had a great crowd response, so much so that they did kind of an extended encore acoustic set of a lot of like early deep cuts that people clearly, it's like this is kind of a rarity. Like you're not going to get to see this all the time, kind of thing. Uh, Great vibes. They have a new Maul Sullivan, who's a solo artist in her own right, and a friend of our mutual friend Nathan Stevens. Uh, she is the new member and touring member, and on the album quite a bit as well. She's a fantastic addition, and I love the the variety on here. Again, I think they've been on this like kind of sonic exploration journey in a very interesting direction, essentially since Moheleen. And I love what it has evolved into. I think there's some like breathtakingly gorgeous like just productions and individual like moments on here, and also harnessing a little bit of the kind of short form structure of AOK Ohio, which you and I have talked about, but not in any like super depth. But like I loved the kind of like micro approach to that, where it was like the songs were very immediate and kind of like dove into like, hey, I'm just gonna like, hey, the most interesting thing in this can just be the thing. I don't need to dress it up. with a bunch of like preamble and et cetera. Something I try and remember in my own songwriting sometimes. It's just like, hey, sometimes maybe just do a little less, or maybe like do a lot in a smaller span of time, as
Hmm.
opposed to this like slow building thing that just like accumulates and becomes this like kind of mass that you get sick of. Um, so I again, we've been talking about people kind of like deep into their discographies, really like honing their sound, etc. I think there's there's some great rhymes on here, like a great fusion of his kind of like spoken word with more like traditional rapping and singing, all kind of like folded in there. Uh, Particular tracks, oh my gosh, see again, this is Banter for me, brother. Sorry. This is oh, here we go. Never mind. Uh Marigold, which is the de facto
Yeah.
essentially kind of like introduction. I also mention it because I have a lovely tour hat, which I've been wearing a lot, which is themed after that. That's also the cover of the album. But personal favorites, When We Do the Dance and Jump, which was an early single, also favorite video of the year for the song Jump. Huge
Hmm.
recommend. Go check it out on their YouTube. Uh But my favorite overall, Sin Imperial, which is like almost, I'm kind of like, maybe, guys, if you wanted to, whole album of that. Just like a little bit of, like some very interesting, like driving sense on there. And then a kind of almost not jungle in terms of like dance music jungle, but like a very like world music adjacent kind of like I don't know. There's like a very interesting percussion and rhythmic section to that one.
Hmm.
Josiah's always cooking up interesting. What a great drummer, dude. He's constantly blowing my mind. But yeah, Sin Imperial, and then as a just a fucking heartbreaker, dude, Atreyu. 12. What a sweet
Stop it.
song. What a fucking sweet
Yeah.
song. So good. So good. But I love the record top to bottom. Huge, really, really happy with this one. It was it was fighting for my number one slot. I went back and forth a lot on my number one, but this is where I landed. The Well I Fell Into by Y. Great seeing them live this year. Great record. And Yoni, if you're listening, hope you're doing well, buddy. Love you. All right.
Okay, that was great. My number two, I'm
Yes,
gonna cheat
please.
again. So, gonna tell a quick story here. A little bit before my birthday this year, didn't know it was coming out, thought it was crazy, didn't know we were gonna get another one or that this one we were gonna get was gonna be the last one. January 12th, Kid Cudi drops Insano. Okay, it's amazing, it's great. DJ Drama's on it. We're good, right? So, to my surprise, it's Saturday, February 24th. I am leaving the hospital with my fiance and my new child. And I see that the day before, the Friday after he was born, he drops Insano Nitro Mega, a whole 18 other songs in the same vein. So I'm putting both of these together. I'm just going to call it the Insano experience because it's two separate albums. You could play them front and backwards, doesn't matter. It's Kid Cudi. I fucking love every one of them. I'm not gonna shout out any of them. You just gotta listen to them. It's like if this is it, if you don't ever get any more music from him, Insano would be fine. The fact that a month later I got another one, fucking brilliant. You mentioned Kendrick Lamar. I could fully believe that there's something dropping right before the end of the year just because I know Cuddy has done this. I know Future and Metro Boomin did the same thing. A lot of artists have done this whole like, let me put one out, let me hit you with another one real quick in the same year. So that's why I said I could see that happening. But he's been on my list every time he's had a new album out.
One of your boys.
One of my favorite, if not
Oh,
favorite hip hop artist of all time. Just Yeah, I talked about him on the A Man Called Scott documentary when that came out. We talked about it, music, the movie, and all that. Just something about that guy being the first person to tell me I'm kind of fucked up. I don't know what's going on. I don't even know if I like being this famous. I don't even know if I like me right now. And then following that journey of kind of fucked up. Let me go get help. The help helped, but it didn't help everything. And all this other stuff to know where that man started and where he's at now and like what he does, like um we didn't talk about it because we didn't get back to our second half of horror stuff during the Arc V, but or the Arctober. But he just randomly showed up in that trap movie. I thought that was amazing. It's like he's just there. Like, oh, dude, what are you doing here? I was so happy when that happened.
That was fun.
I don't know. I want more of him, but I want whatever's going to be fulfilling to him to do. And if it's just these two and we're done, which I don't think we are, because everything I've listened to him talk about since these have come out, like the one I will tell everybody they have to listen to is Human Made off of that's the first track off of Nitro Mega, the second one. Something about that song is just like a fucking hero. Like I know it. I'm fucking there, dude. Like it's so innately a Kid Cudi song. You're like, of course. And just it's just like again, it's not a I don't want to call it a victory lap, but it's definitely like I'm doing donuts in the parking lot because I'm fucking shit up and I'm loving it and I'm having a great time and no one can tell me shit. And I've got like not just this body of work to prove it, but these two albums
Hmm.
this year is enough of a calling card for you to just shut the fuck up and let me have fun. But if not, you can go back to all these other ones I've put out since 2007, 2008-ish onward. And like again, you could say the sound's changed. You could say lyrically he's changed, but you know, he took some dips and some turns and whatnot and experimented with some stuff. And I'm sure a lot of people are just like, whatever. But I was there for it. I loved it. You know, Sound
Hmm.
Light Flight, all that stuff. And so the fact that I got a birthday present with Insano, and then this was like, Mab got a birthday present the day after he was born with Insano Nitro Mega. He's number 2 on my list.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Uh, okay. My number one, total surprise. Like, didn't know it was coming out. Didn't honestly know that I would like be sitting here at the end of the year with it at my number one. Was not on my bingo card, whatever you want to say. My number one is Loss of Life by MGMT. Just just flat out my favorite record of the year, the one I kept coming back to over and over again. And I think the reason I did was because it's just truly a little bit of everything. It is like every song is kind of in its own genre. It shouldn't all work. It shouldn't fit together. It shouldn't make sense as an album or track to track, but somehow it does. Uh, it has hands down my favorite production across all of those tracks of any album this year. And I don't know, man. They're back. I had
Yeah.
kind of missed I had missed the second wave of appreciation because that's like obviously Oracular is what
Untouchable.
2007
Yeah.
tail end of 2007. We've
Hmm.
talked about them before. They go intentionally extremely anti-commercial with Congratulations. Great record as well. And then they have the self-titled and then Alien Days, and that's where I kind of like I drifted off. It's not that I didn't like those records. I just kind of like kind of stopped paying attention for a bit. And then Danger or excuse I can I almost called it Danger Days. That is a Gorillaz record. Uh Little Dark Age, excuse me, was this weird like second coming of them that I
Hmm.
completely missed the boat on. It's like I heard a couple singles off of that record, but I never really like explored it when it came out because I was still in the like, oh, they're just kind of doing their own thing. Maybe I've just my interest has waned. And so anyways, Loss of Life drops. I decided to just check it out on a New Music Friday from Spotify because I'm just like, oh, it's recommended because they're an artist I go back to constantly. Like I listen to Oracular all the time. It's always in my rotation. And then I have
Hmm.
a few like cherry pick singles as well that I have on playlists. So of course it knew to actually suggest, hey, they have new music. Hadn't heard any singles prior. I don't even think they really I don't think there was much build up. And then so I just threw it on cold, start to finish on the drive home one night after or on, on a Friday after work. Just knocked out. Hey, that was great. Didn't expect to like, dude, I think that's like a 9, maybe a 10, maybe a 9.5. I don't know. Okay. Whatever. We'll sleep on it because that's how I am with most new albums in general. It's like, I don't know if I'll ever think about that again, you know? It's like, even if you have a great one-off experience with something, and then I just next morning driving to work, oh, dude, I really like that bubblegum dog. Let me throw that one on. It's kind of like a I don't know, like a big, nasty, like 90s kind of grungy, kind of Alice in Chains, kind of like a little bit of Soundgarden mixed in there. Uh then but then you'll like turn right over to something like People in the Streets, which is more like a like I don't know, 70s like ballad. I don't dude, there's stuff the stuff is all over the place. Just give it a shot. It's a whole experience. It kind of needs to be experienced top to bottom. Uh But yeah, Loss of Life, MGMT. Get, give it a spin. That's my number one of the year. Surprised myself, and
Okay. I mean,
I think you might be surprised how much you like it.
oh, I'm sure I will.
So
It came
give
out
it a
the same
shot.
it came out the same Friday as Nitro Mega, so I was like, oh, okay. I knew it was out, but I didn't think anything of it. And I guess we're gonna flip it, and that's probably gonna be the one that you're like, oh, okay. You're gonna you shout it out. I'm like, all right, I
And
need to go
I
back to
all
that.
so and subsequent of that, so I obviously was like in the mood given the new album, and it was the first time also I went back and listened to Little Dark Age, independent of just like the two or three songs that I knew from it, and just like
Hmm.
listened to it start to finish. And I was like, oh, dude,
Oh yeah, no,
just
that's a good one.
they haven't stopped, dude. They just have continued to make amazing, interesting, super creative music that, you know, again, you can you can get on board or not. That's kind of what I love about where they're at now is there are like you can almost feel it. There's moments in Loss of Life where it's like, oh, you could have just taken that little bridge part or that chorus and just tilted it a little to the left and it would line up with like everybody's expectations of where that was supposed to go and it would be really satisfying. But instead, you decided to do this and made it 1,000 times more interesting and unlike anything I could have ever predicted. And that's why I fucking love them. So, uh, I think you already spoiled your number one, or I inadvertently did because I had to say his name out loud.
Yeah.
Bleachers put out a record this year
Yeah, it's called Bleachers, just self-titled.
after all this time. Which one
Yeah.
is this?
This
How
is the
many?
fourth one.
All right. Only four deep.
Only four deep,
So is
but
he
so much
still,
stuff.
so is this another like, I want to be Bruce Springsteen? Like, is that still the
This is
general conceit or
That's what
like,
no, dude, that's been every album ever since. He's like that's him. He's our Bruce Springsteen, as far as I'm concerned.
he's your Bruce Springsteen?
Yeah, he's this generation moving forward. So the reason why I tell you all the time, the reason
No,
why I
my
can't
Bruce Springsteen is Brandon Flowers,
that's
the
right.
little Mormon boy that could. He really
You're
struggled to you know, really knows about the common man.
of
Really knows
course
how
he
to
does.
speak for us.
Just like
Dude,
anybody else from
dude,
Vegas, of course he would
he
know.
writes the greatest anthems for like the working man of today for a guy who is literally a fucking
I
multi-millionaire
know.
with what they charge for their fucking concert
Uh-huh.
tickets. It's hilarious. Hilarious.
So one of the reasons I tell people that I will not completely write off Taylor Swift is that I think the girl's smart because she gets him to produce her albums. Kendrick Lamar, him. When you look back, you find out where his name is. You realize, like, okay, there's something here. What is it? This guy is just like on a different level. I think very few people can exist in both of those worlds where it's like I'm a producer, but I'm also like I make my own stuff. And just this one just feels like a win. Not that the others didn't, but this feels like whatever's been going on with him
Okay.
where he's
So
writing stuff, it feels like he's just
just to clarify, everybody else has been not quite taking victory laps, but this is a fucking win, baby.
right for like
Uh,
for him. Like it's a good like it's not like he's not gonna like shit on everybody and taking a victory lap and like look at me, but it's just like, hey, I'm over here, I'm doing my own thing, but like I got a lot to be happy and thankful for. I got married, I'm one of the biggest producers on the planet. Whether people know that or not, it doesn't matter. But this is my little band, this is what I do. And I'm telling you, Noah, some of the best saxophone you've ever heard in songs anywhere. Okay. Just they just know how to make music. They know how
you
to make
gotta,
good
hey,
fucking.
you gotta listen to this MGMT record, baby.
Okay, all right.
You gotta
That's
listen to
okay.
Rubble Bucket, baby.
All right. I'll listen to that and see. But it's just I don't know. Um, I just something about him and just like when the first Bleachers album came out, I was like, okay. And as it got following it more and more, I was like, I just really dig this guy's sound, like lyrics, where he's coming from, what he thinks about things. I don't think I have anything in common with him whatsoever, but yet I feel like I know exactly who this dude is. And like be, he would be like the dopest dude to be a friend with, or just go get a beer with, or like he feels like he's a childhood friend at this point, just anything everything it's all around. So again, that's, amazing producer for other people but doesn't, shortchange himself when it's like, I got this in me. I can do this, you know?
Okay.
And
I I think you officially warned me that I think I just finally I just gotta go listen to the guy, I guess. Guess I gotta do it.
yeah, I
Um,
mean, but
all
again,
these years
he's not for everybody.
I mean, he's always on your top 10, and I think he's
Yeah.
taken the number one slot like pretty much every time he's put out a record. So,
Yeah.
all right. Well, you got some homework to
Dude,
do.
what if they became like the next great, like, um, instead of like, Loggins and Messina, it was like Flowers and Ananoff, like just
Could
Brandon
be
and Jack
interesting.
and Brandon, dude. What if those just put those two in a room for like a day and just see what you get? You could get like one song because they could butt heads. You get like a whole double album of just pure greatness. You never know.
I wouldn't hate it. I would
I
be
would love
interested.
it.
I would be very interested.
Yeah.
Interesting year in music. Probably not a lot of what you may have expected.
No,
No,
probably not.
no Sabrinas, no Charlies, no Chapels here,
No
unfortunately.
radio
Not
hits.
for any,
Yeah,
yeah. That's the real thing. It's like I don't listen to the radio, so I
I
don't
do, but it's
know
Sirius
these
XM.
songs. I just don't. I'm sorry, I don't. Some of them have like cultural penetration, but not not to
Oh,
my ears,
yeah.
some of this
So
stuff. It's
the
not,
hit.
again, it just, this is not to be contrarian, and this is not to be like, fuck all of that stuff. I just haven't heard a lot of it. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Shout out your recommendations, people. That's what the Instagram is for.
Okay, so mine for this is Alma
It's for
Mater.
polite recommendations, not for being upset about the albums that we did put on
Yeah. Just nice comments only, please. Um, Modern Girls is single. That's what everyone's gonna know. It's catchy. But my favorite is Alma Mater.
here. Alma Mater.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have a song of the year? And I know you mentioned you talked to some coworkers. We can kind of wrap out because I am fucking
The song
starving,
of the
by the
year
way.
is
I need to eat a snack before bedtime.
I think the song of the year, I think it's gotta be that Million Dollar Baby song, right? Tommy Richmond? That's gotta be the song of the year, right? It's been in every reel I've ever seen.
What is that song?
You never heard that song?
Sing it for me.
I'm not gonna sing it for you. It's terrible.
I No, I think clearly the song of the year is Not Like Us, but do you have a do you have a song? That's the question.
Man, that's catchy. My song of the year. I mean, it's nothing new. It's been something I've been listening to for years, but
No, your favorite song of this year, or
that's
like
brand
the
new.
song that you've been going back to the most, or the one where you're like you mentioned
Oh, it's human made.
Okay, that's
Kid
what I was gonna
Cudi,
say.
yeah,
You mentioned the
yeah,
Kid Cudi track. That's the
yeah,
one I
Human
was gonna
Made.
say you seem to be like the most over the moon about. My
Oh yeah.
single favorite track of the year is it's so oh my God, it's like a neck and neck tie because I genuinely think The Fight by Future Islands is like a transcendent song that anybody, regardless of the genre you are into, like that song could touch your soul.
Hmm.
But the song I went back to the most over fucking over again is called I Wish I Was Joking from MGMT's Loss of Life, which I think is just absolutely immaculate. Fucking love it. Also makes me laugh really hard every time I listen to it, and I want to sing along. So good. Any final thoughts? Any coworker shout outs you wanted to
Yeah,
throw in there? Any honorable mentions?
I got a couple honorable mentions. So Khadijah, one of my tellers at work, she's got that Shabuzi song that's basically just stealing from Chingy. She that was one of her like most listens. She didn't really have albums. She had like most listens. Post Malone, I had some help, and then I don't know. Let me make sure this is this year because I told him all it's like it's. I want it to be this year. And this could be, and I just don't know it because I don't listen to pop radio. But apparently, that's all they have. Except I think Shaq has some stuff that it's not going to be. I don't even know if that stuff plays on the radio. Anyway, let's see. Benson Boone. I don't know who this person is at all. Let me see.
Country
When did
artist, I believe.
okay, says what's this pop? Beautiful things?
Country pop, maybe?
Maybe, I
I
guess. I
don't
don't
know.
know.
He can't be named Benson Boone and not have a little twang in his voice. I'm just saying. Even if he's faking it.
It's from Monroe, Washington. So maybe so. Who knows?
Washington
Um,
State?
Beautiful things. Yeah.
Washington State? Well, he definitely
Fireworks is
don't
all
sound
over
like
that.
this then. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I've got my boss, same thing. F1 Trillion was one of her albums of the year. And then my senior teller, Shaq, his albums are one of one by Gunna, Better Off Alone by A Boogie, and then he's got Take Care by Big X the Plug, and I guess he dropped it on your birthday of this year. Big X the Plug, Take Care. Um,
All right.
he looks the most interesting out of all these artists that I looked up.
I have
Big
at
X
least
the
heard
Plug.
I have at least heard his name prior to this
Yeah.
episode, so
No.
that's usually a good sign. It's usually a
Okay.
good.
Um, Shout out real quick. There's an album called Blues Experience by Jake Shimabukuro and Mick. It's basically Mick Fleetwood playing along with this guy that does really like all he does is ukulele stuff. It's
Okay.
some of it's that it sounds really that sounded really interesting. I listened to a few of them. Um, uh, Chromacopia, Tyler the Creator. I just found out about it. I didn't feel comfortable putting it on a list, but
Same. I didn't get to spend enough time with
it's
it.
yeah
That's the only reason it's
yeah.
kind of outside of the immediate
Um,
list.
can we please have fun? Kings of Leon. Not enough
That's
time
kind
with
of
it.
where my 15 starts.
Yeah.
Same thing where it was actually the opposite, where I was like, I was really hyped based on the singles, and then I sat down and listened that first day, and I was like, nothing. I was like, I was like, give me like at least two songs that I like as much as those. But I do think that Split Screen in particular,
Hmm.
um, is one of the strongest of their recent output of the last several years. I really, really like that song. And then Mustang was a really good single, radio single.
Yeah.
Uh, Hooray for the Riff Raff, who I saw open for Bright Eyes 2 years ago. Their latest record's called The Past is Still Alive. Good stuff. Man Man, who I'm quite the fan of. Their new one was called Carrot on Strings. There's some great tracks on there. One more soundtrack I will shout out is Clint Mansell's soundtrack for Love Lies Bleeding. He, of course, is
Oh, that
u-
was dope.
usually he's Aronofsky's go-to guy a
Yeah.
lot of the time, I think, or at least for yeah, I think at least for Requiem and maybe for some of the other ones. And then I mentioned it already, but my number 11, just outside of the top 10, was Remy Wolf's Big Ideas, which I just wanted to shout out again because she's great.
Do you listen to Justice at all?
Never heard of him.
You have. You know a song. You've got to know. A Hyper Drama came out this year. You when we stop recording for a while, I'll play you one track real quick just because you know. You've had to have heard it. Genesis is a big track. It was on the Need for Speed soundtrack years ago. Same thing with their I don't know. It's like I would you you know them. It's they're French electronic without masks on. They could have been uh I'm blanking on their name now. What am I gonna call it? They could be Daft Punk for all we know. Even though we know who Daft Punk is. But like yeah, they were putting out records the same time they are. If not, yeah, they back in '03 from now on. But another electronic record that came out, they haven't had one since 2018. So big deal. I think the biggest one everybody remembers is from 2007. It's just called
The
this
only
subtitle.
electronic duos I recognize are never mind, God. Continue. The
And
list was
then
going to get way too long. I was like,
yeah,
actually, it's like a lot of people. There's a lot of
yeah.
duos. Never mind.
Um, also the people who had a record that came out this year didn't listen to much of it, but still sonically kind of sounds where they've been at the last couple of
Okay, I
years.
mean, we don't, I mean,
And then
honorable mentions or shout outs, but if we're just
yeah,
kind of just saying things we happen to hear,
no. I
let's,
mean, it was good. It didn't crack my top 10. And
let's
then
finish up strong.
kind of a letdown. This last one. I told you about the song of the summer with the $1 Million Baby. That kid had an album come out called Coyote, and I'm just like, what are we doing? I didn't really like it. I was like, why? It was a letdown. With all the hype of that single coming out, I thought, okay, this album's going to be dope. He's going
It,
to have like a lot of.
it's a singles culture,
I know.
man.
I did. That's the biggest shock of the year right there. I
That's,
thought
I
that was going
mean,
to be better.
we talk about it every year, yes, but I think we do, even after all of that, we're still, I don't know why we have this like fealty to the album and like approaching everything that way. Cause it's like, yeah, a lot of times these songs that are like everywhere, I don't necessarily hear about the album at the end of the year, but it's like, oh, but I'll be hearing that song for the next 10 years, you
Oh
know?
yeah.
Uh,
Well,
and
it's
in
like a
general,
lot of.
the focus on albums, I think it's just not there in the way that it used to be. And I also think that weirdly albums get judged more by like, well, where are the hits, where are the singles? And it's like, well, what's the definition of even that at this point? You know,
Right.
a hit could be anything. I've heard some stuff that I'm genuinely baffled by, like, oh, they thought people would be into this, and then it becomes a thing. Like fucking Monoskin, like 2 years ago. Like that whole thing. What happened there? I don't know.
Mhm. I don't even know what you're talking about.
I'm probably saying it wrong. The begging, the Italian guys that actually like they
Oh yeah,
sing
yeah,
pretty
yeah,
good, but they yeah,
yeah.
I don't
I know
know.
what you're talking about. Yeah.
Whatever. Didn't mean to throw shots right at the end of the episode, but what are you gonna do? Okay. Um, so this was the kickoff of our year-end stuff. We will be back very soon to discuss our favorite television shows of 2024. But until next time, I have been Noah,
And I have been Gavin.
and you, excuse me, fuck, and we've been the Blanchard Brothers, and
Yes.
you've been listening to what we've been listening to as well, because this is a music episode. I had a great intro or outro, and I totally forgot what it was. I had it like 10 minutes ago when I was trying to
Oh,
wrap this thing up, and now I can't
okay.
remember. It was gonna make you laugh, and it was gonna be really strong.
Well, you can do something like, and that's right, just keep your feet on the ground and your hands
And
reaching for the stars.
keep reaching for the
Reaching for the
stars. No,
stars.
it was not going to be the Casey Kasem sign off, but it was going to be a sign off in the Casey Kasem voice, but it was going to
Oh,
be something else, and it escapes me now, and it's going to frustrate me and haunt me. But hopefully, I'll remember it so that I can use it on one of these other episodes. But for all I know, it was music centric, and it'll never come back to me. Okay.
well, it
Uh,
seems like all these things is going to just be disappearing in time, Noah, like tears in the rain. But if you ever do think of it again and it comes back to you, just go ahead and hit that record button and blast it out in there and into the ether. And we'll all listen. And we'll all sing along. And we'll all keep our feet on the ground and keep reaching for those stars.